What's happening, everybody? On today's show, Greg McElroy is going to join us as we talk some big picture SEC topics with him, getting ready for the upcoming football season. Also, we'll go around the conference as the preseason top 25 coaches poll is out, and some camp notes from Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Mizzou, Arkansas, and beer in Tuscaloosa. Locked on SEC starts right now.
Are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. Great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On SEC is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube and at LockedOnSEC.com. Let's jump into it. Let's go around the conference.
Boots out to the right. Takes the handoff. What a catch!
Around the conference.
And the season right around the corner. Of course, the annual preseason coaches poll coming out this week. And Alabama picking up 1,634 overall points while gaining 54 of the 66 first-place votes in the poll. So Alabama overwhelmingly the number one team in the country preseason. Ohio State coming in at number 2. Defending national champion Georgia coming in at the number 3 spot, but did eclipse Ohio State with 6 first-place votes. Clemson and Notre Dame round out the top 5. Other SEC schools coming in the rankings. Texas A&M comes in at number 7. And then you got to go down a ways, all the way to number 21. Kentucky coming in as a top 25 preseason ranked team. Arkansas coming in at number 23. And Ole Miss coming in at number 24. Now, we had a couple of SEC schools just on the outside looking in, including LSU getting some votes, Auburn as well. The preseason coaches poll for the first time. LSU did not make the top 25 for the first time since 2000. They did receive 143 votes. Tennessee also in there. They got 163. But those teams not making the cut. So quite a run LSU had. 22 straight years making the preseason top 25. I would argue they're a borderline. Could have put them at 24th, 25th, or whatever. Look, if we're going to give USC the benefit of the doubt with a new head coach, why wouldn't you give LSU the benefit of the doubt with a really good head coach in Brian Kelly? Hey, Brian Kelly's at least played for a championship. Lincoln Riley still trying to get there as he basically loses every year when he makes the playoff. But nonetheless, best of luck to him over at USC in that, what they go, 4-8 last year? 62 points to UCLA? Yeah, but I'm sure Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley will fix everything. One note on Alabama. Will Anderson, of course, the top defensive player in the country. He was talking with the media this week and being asked about awards and preseason hype. And, of course, Alabama coming in number 1 in the coaches poll. Will Anderson said, I didn't even know nothing about that until you just told me. So pretty sure the team doesn't know. We don't know anything about that. So that is rat poison. Using Nick Saban's line to a T there. Over at Georgia, Will Muschamp came back to his alma mater to work under Kirby Smart last year, helping the Bulldogs win a national title as their team's special teams coordinator. This year, he is serving as co-defensive coordinator for the Dogs alongside Glenn Schumann with Dan Lanning, who left for the Oregon head coaching job this offseason. On Tuesday, Muschamp meeting with the media, saying he appreciates the opportunity Kirby Smart gave him, added it's the best job in America. He said all those guys are guys I'm more familiar with. Coach Smart, Coach Bobo, Coach McClendon, all those guys have a vested interest in the University of Georgia. He said, number 1, I credit, again, Coach and the young men of this staff we've recruited. What is your role in the organization? Do the best job you can. And I think I've got the best job in America. So we'll see what Coach Muschamp can do with that Georgia defense this year. Quick scheduling note on Alabama. They filled a slot for their 2024 season, adding Mercer, November 16th, 2024. So the other non-conference games in 2024 for Bama, they would open with Western Kentucky, then play South Florida, then play Wisconsin, and then get Mercer later in the year. Of course, all that's subject to change with the SEC schedule, possibly changing by 2024 if old Texas and Oklahoma come in a year early. Over at Tennessee, defensive line coach Rodney Gardner in his second season with the program, hired as part of Josh Heupel's initial staff there in Knoxville. And he was asked, has any one particular player stood out on that defensive side in the midst of preseason camp ahead of the opener against Ball State? Gardner said, if we had to vote on who was probably the most improved guy in that room, I would definitely say Dominic Bailey. He's gotten better. He's flashed. He's shown that he's going to have an opportunity to help this team. So we will see what the former four-star recruit can do this season for the Vols. But Dominic Bailey, a name to watch for the Vols this season. Over at Arkansas, they are going to open their season with Luke Fickle and the Cincinnati Bearcats on September 3rd. Going to be a tough matchup for Fickle. He was on SportsCenter on Tuesday talking about that matchup, and he said, look, the last two SEC teams we played has not been good for us. He said, our guys in this entire program, we know what to expect. I wish I could tell you what this team is right now. I'd like to tell you what it really is. We got to go out to a camp about 20 days, and that's when we will develop what this will really look like. Cincinnati trying to figure out who their starting quarterback's going to be with Desmond Ridder now in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons. Evan Prater and Ben Bryant both vying for that starting job for Cincinnati in the opener against Arkansas. And speaking of Arkansas, Matt Landers spent 4 years with Georgia. Last year, transferred to Toledo, where he had 20 catches for over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. This offseason, he transferred again, now with Arkansas. And in preseason camp, Landers made quite an impression on his new teammates and coaches. Cornerbacks coach Dominic Bowman, talking with the media this week, said that Landers is one of the hardest receivers for the corners to cover. So we'll see if this is the year that everything clicks for Matt Landers and maybe give KJ Jefferson another big target for the Razorbacks. Over at LSU, they have dropped a video describing the process of defensive end B.J. Ojulari getting the number 18 jersey. Head coach Brian Kelly talking about the importance of that jersey and the importance of Ojulari on the field and in the weight room. He said it's a guy that raises the temperature of everybody in the room. He does it by his presence, does it by his actions. He's somebody that you want to follow. So Ojulari, of course, older brother went off to the NFL after playing at Georgia. He said, I'm leaving my legacy at LSU. Once you wear the number 18, you can't go back. You're going to forever be 18. So let's see what he can do building off those 7 sacks he had last year. Over at Missouri, they're in the midst of a quarterback battle, and it looks like Brady Cook might have the upper hand right now. Dave Matter from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch was on with McElroy and Cubelic on Jocks FM in Birmingham this week, and talked about the battle between Brady Cook, Tyler Macon, and Jack Abraham. Matter says that Cook has been the first quarterback on the field in their drills. He said he's the guy that's played most in Drink's offense. They want this competition to be close, not necessarily go on forever. It's a hard decision. They know if something happens during the season, they've got somebody else right there that can play, that they can trust. Cook is a redshirt sophomore, played sparingly last year, got a full game in the Armed Forces Bowl. Macon appeared in limited action last year against Southeast Mizzou and Georgia. So see if Brady Cook is the guy for Missouri this year. Over at Auburn, Brian Harsin was asked about his kicker, Anders Carlson, recovering from that serious knee injury, and gave a positive update saying he was wearing his brace today on the kickoff. I don't think he's put everything into his swing yet, but he put it in the end zone. That's the thing. He's got the leg, so he's an elite talent. The thing about Anders, he's mature, understands there's a progression to all this. By the time we've got to go play, he will be ready. He's ready right now, but for his level, he can go out there and be as good as most kickers in the country right now. Where he's trying to put himself there is a progression to get there. And lastly, one more note over at Alabama. Of course, they are still going forward trying to serve beer in the stadium at some point. The stadium's concessionaire has applied for a liquor license. That hearing is set for next Tuesday. If the application is approved and the other necessary paperwork gets filed and approved, there could be alcohol sales at the stadium as soon as September 3rd when Alabama opens its season against Utah State. So crossing your fingers for a lot of the Bama faithful out there. Here's hoping you guys can get some beer in Bryant-Denny Stadium this year. And there you have it. That is the latest news going on around the conference. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Coming up next, our conversation with Greg McElroy. You don't want to miss that. First, I want to remind you guys about our friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way for you to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the number one online source for odds, lines, and games. You can find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, whatever it is. BetOnline has got you covered. Just head on over to their website. You can do so on your mobile device like I'm doing right now. And BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, podcasts. They've got you covered. They got stuff on there right now with Wimbledon. They got preseason NFL betting lines. If you're a degenerate and you want to get into that, head on over to BetOnline today. Use your mobile device. Learn more about the action happening today. Again, tons of college football content coming your way in the next couple weeks. You don't want to miss. It is BetOnline, and it is where the game starts. Rocking and rolling here from SEC Media Days, and one of our favorite people to catch up with every year is Greg McElroy, ABC and ESPN broadcaster, co-host of Mac and Cube on Jocks FM in Birmingham. Greg, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, what's happening?
Let me start here. You get to work with Cole Cubelic every day. Who's the bigger diva?
Oh, I think I'm probably the bigger diva, but don't get it twisted now. I mean, Cole likes to play this blue collar, I'm down in the dirt, like offensive line. But don't get it twisted, man. Like, he likes fancy stuff. Like, he's a sneakerhead. He always he is very much into the finer things. Now, like, I like to drink high-end whiskey. He doesn't drink or anything. So, like, I'm a little bit snootier, like, when it comes to whiskeys and, like, food. He's more snooty when it comes to, like, snacks and comfort and style. Like, we're actually quite different in a lot of ways, but complement each other, I think, pretty well on the show.
Are you a golf guy?
I do like golf. Yeah,
okay.
I am a golfer. Like most quarterbacks, I didn't pick it up until I was 27, though.
Oh, wow.
Growing up in Southlake, Texas, we did have access to a golf course in our neighborhood, but we didn't play. It was far too hot in the hours and days that we had a chance to go out there. And
yeah,
I wasn't going to go grind. I wasn't good enough, nor did I care enough to go out there and play at, in June in 110-degree heat at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
I mean, football worked out for you, but let's be honest, you could be on the Live Golf Tour right now making
yes,
$60 million.
Seeing some of that money, I am in pursuit of a Live Golf contract right now. But if they want to bring me on with Barkley and Faraday, like, I'll go.
Yeah,
I'm good with that. Like, I'd be happy to go broadcast on YouTube or something like that. Well, I believe they're on YouTube. And,
yeah.
If they're throwing money at those guys and throwing money at the players, like, I'd be willing to take a little off their hands.
We'll put that out into the universe for you. Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC very soon. You're a guy who's thrown the horns down. You think the SEC is going to make that a penalty when they get here?
They shouldn't. I mean, that's the most ludicrous, ridiculous, childish thing in the world. If you put the horns down, it doesn't mean you're like, slaughtering longhorns or anything. It's like, I mean, come on, it's literally just fun.
It's a hand gesture.
Well, there are hand gestures that are very offensive.
Very disrespectful, sure.
However, that one in particular, not so much. Like, I remember vividly, and I grew up a Longhorn fan. A diehard. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say I was a diehard Longhorn fan, but they were definitely the team I pulled for in the state of Texas growing up. But I remember vividly going to Red River shootouts with my dad growing up at the Cotton Bowl and seeing multiple Oklahoma players putting the horns down and never being offended. Like, I just never. I mean, it was never a thing. I mean, It's like, that's what they did. And by the way, if I did that and scored a touchdown against the Longhorns, I would do the exact same thing. And didn't score a touchdown, but did it.
Yeah.
So, by the way, for all the Longhorn fans out there, I have no regrets about putting the horns down. It's okay. Like, I hope we've moved on from that point.
It's going to be weird when they're here at SEC Media Days in a couple of years with Texas and Oklahoma. It's going to.
I think they should put Texas, Oklahoma, and A&M all on the same day.
They absolutely should.
And Arkansas. Just make all four of them go on the same day. And we can just make it super awkward.
It will be very awkward for a lot of those fan bases. Let me ask you this. I was reflecting back on your career, looking back at numbers. What was the worst loss of your college career?
That'd be to South Carolina. But I wouldn't say that was the worst loss. I said that was the most gut-wrenching loss. No, that wasn't that was the worst loss statistically, but not the most gut-wrenching. The most gut-wrenching was against Cam Newton in 2010.
Yeah.
And that was when we had a pretty big lead and couldn't hold on to the lead there in the second half.
You looked angry recounting those memories. Is it weird?
It's water under the bridge now.
The losses stick with you, though, right?
Yeah, I don't care about the wins. Like, you don't. I mean, it's weird. the losses are just so much more painful than the wins are gratifying.
Right.
You know, the wins are a relief. Like you're happy that you got them. You did what you were supposed to do. Did I ever celebrate a win? Yeah, like we'd go out and celebrate after the game or whatnot, I suppose. But it was never something that we just cherished. I mean, like losses were just they stole your soul and still do in some ways. Like, I mean, not that I'm not over it at this point,
Right.
but it still bothers me that we lost games that we did and lost games how we did for sure.
It was funny. Somebody brought this up to me, and so I figured I'd pose it to you this way. Is Stetson Bennett this decade's version of Greg McElroy, a guy who's a little disrespected, a little underappreciated, but all he does is win?
Well, I would say that there's a lot of similarities to that. The one difference that I probably didn't have to deal with as much as I was not actively trying to be replaced by every fan. You know, like people were pretty content with me at quarterback.
Yeah,
probably disrespected, I think, in some ways for sure. Probably underappreciated. I think I was a decent player. I don't think I was a game changer by any stretch, but I think I could have been if I was asked to be. And I think that Stetson has proven all the doubters wrong over and over and over again. So I have a lot of respect for him. And I think the one difference is that I looked the part, he doesn't. And that's, I think, why people have had a hard time endearing themselves to Stetson Bennett. You know, like I had the measurable size and the measurable, you know, I mean, I had all the measurables. And he doesn't check the box as far as measurables are concerned. He looks undersized. He has a little bit of an odd throwing motion, a little bit of a unique throwing motion, and people just can't quite wrap their head around why he's beating out 4- and 5-star guys. People are really wrapped up in recruiting now, even more so than when I was in school, and they believe that 5-stars walk on water and walk-ons are terrible. And it's not true. It's not accurate. I've seen plenty of 5-stars that can't play and plenty of walk-ons that are ballers. So it just – people are hard-headed, and I think it's unfortunate, and I think it's unfair because the kid has played his tail off and has stepped up in big moments for him. So I hope he gets the appreciation he deserves. It just might be a little later than it probably should have come.
Let me ask you one more real quick. Do you like where we are with the direction of college football right now? I mean, it's almost like, look, a lot of us don't like it, but it kind of it is what it is, right?
I'm not bothered by it like some. I mean, to me, and this is going to sound a little bit like I'm in favor of the haves versus the have-nots, and maybe I'm that way. I played at Alabama. Admittedly, yes, I understand that there is a need to appeal to the smaller schools, and there's a place for the smaller schools. But I don't think that we need to be making decisions on behalf of the smaller schools.
Yeah,
and that's maybe a little bit disrespectful, perhaps. I don't know, and to me, where we're going in college football is having better matchups. Because I know this. I've called big games. I've been at big games. I've called bad games. I've called games involving small schools and games involving big schools. You know the games that are going to rate because it's going to capture an audience that is unattainable for some schools. Like there's a reason why Oklahoma and Texas were considered valuable to the SEC. It's because Oklahoma has played more games with 1 million viewers over the last 5 years than anyone else in college football. Texas, number 2 behind Oklahoma in the Big 12. It's the reason why USC was attractive to the Big 10. It's because they move the needle. And I think if we can get to a point where every single game is watchable, that strengthens the product. As far as NIL is concerned, I don't really get lost in the weeds because when toe meets leather, I'm not thinking about how much the right guard's making. I just don't care about it. I care about how he executes. So I don't worry myself as much about the NIL. I worry about creating the most intriguing game possible and whatever it takes to create the most compelling matchups. That's what I'm in favor of. And I get the sense that some of the things and some of the moves that have happened are going to create much better matchups for college football. So when you get a Texas and Alabama once every 15, 20 years, well, now you're going to get it every year, potentially. That, to me, is advantageous to the sport and growing the sport for future generations.
Speaking of compelling matchups, you'll be on the call for a lot this fall. We look forward to seeing you there, Greg. Thanks so much for the time.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks. Great to see you.
Back right after this. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Our thanks to Greg McElroy for joining us. Make sure you subscribe and check us out, either the podcast form or the video form over on YouTube. If you haven't done so yet, just go pull up your YouTube app on your phone, search Locked On SEC, hit subscribe for us as we continue to try to build up a following. We're going to have tons of great videos throughout the college football season and tons of great guests still to come in the coming weeks as we get you guys ready for the start of the SEC season. Brad Nessler from CBS Sports is going to join us. We're going to have our conversation with David Cutcliffe, who now works in the SEC office. We'll talk some old days at Tennessee with him. We'll have start previewing some of the different schools. We'll talk with Ronnie Brown, the former Auburn running back. He's set to join us. T-Bob Hebert will talk some LSU with us. Eric Kane will talk some Tennessee. Wes Blankenship will join us to talk some on Georgia. Nick Roush will talk Kentucky with us. So tons of great team breakdowns as we get you going here in the next couple weeks, getting you set for the start of the season. I'm Chris Gordy. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Now you can go make your second listen. Check out some of our other great podcasts like Locked On Auburn, Locked On LSU, Locked On Razorbacks. Whatever your school is, we've got it covered. Chances are, wherever you get your podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, go check it out now. I will talk to you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On SEC. Have a great day, everybody.